Welcome, and thanks for joining us for our top 5 news stories this week. A lot can happen in the world of MMOs and RPGs in a week, so let's get into it. Torchlight 3 is headed out of early access and will officially launch October 13th on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. A Nintendo Switch version is slated later this year. For many, the release is bittersweet, especially for the MMORPG community, as originally, Torchlight Frontiers was supposed to be an MMORPG, but was later scrapped for a sequel with multiplayer options. Granted, Torchlight Frontiers was not well received in the state it was in, but Torchlight 3 has been accused by some of being too similar to Torchlight 2. The 4 launch classes, the Dusk Mage, the Forged, the Railmaster, and the Sharpshooter, can be customized by relics to further diversify their characters. Between these classes, building forts, and those RNG loot drops, will this be enough to appease the Torchlight fanbase at large? Phantasy Star Online 2's Western version has received a big new update, Episode 5. In Episode 5, players will get the chance to see the world of sword and sorcery collide with sci-fantasy, as players check out the new dimension known as Omega. Players will also have some new progression to contend with that includes an increased level cap. Players can now level up their characters to level 90. That isn't all either, as a new exciting class has also been added, the Hero class, which has been one of the most popular classes on the Japanese servers for quite some time. The Hero class is the first successor class to join the game from the Japanese version of the game. Players will have one more power cap increase to contend with as well. Both photon arts and techniques have had their power levels increased, so be prepared to hunt for new discs to level up your skills to the max. Cyberpunk 2077 is probably one of the most, if not the most, hyped RPGs to release this year. CD Projekt Red knows this, and they are aiming to ensure they are ready for the November 19th release. Unfortunately, for the teams working on Cyberpunk, that also means that their time off is being mandatorily cut short, as the studio head sent an email that requires that all employees work their typical schedule as well as one additional weekend day. The 6-day workweek comes nearly a year off from a report that they would avoid a mandatory crunch for Cyberpunk. With a little more than a month before Cyberpunk 2077 is set to hit the virtual and physical shelves, there is no doubt that crunch time is upon us. But it is a little disconcerting that a crunch is necessary after CD Projekt Red's bosses stated it wouldn't be necessary. Hopefully, Cyberpunk 2077 will be everything we and Keanu Reeves hopes it will be. Magic Legends, the MMO action RPG, has stated they are going to have to postpone the release until spring of 2021. The industry as a whole has been hit with delays that are usually due to the pandemic, but according to executive producer Steven Ricossa in this week's State of Development blog post, the delay was not due so much to the pandemic, but from player feedback that was given to them from their closed alpha playtests. Magic Legends will be an action RPG where you can choose your class out of 5 planeswalkers, and has been a highly anticipated release for many that expected to be able to play the game by the end of the year. While MMORPG and Magic fans might be a little disappointed by the news that the game has been delayed, it is far more important that the game releases in a playable and enjoyable state rather than an unfun buggy one. Magic Legends will release on Steam, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4, though by the time the game does release, hopefully it will also be available and optimized for the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. Our big news story this week has to do with World of Warcraft and their Shadowlands expansion. Sad news released this week as the Shadowlands expansion has been delayed to later this year. Originally planned for an October 27th release, Blizzard has yet to give further details on when players can expect Shadowlands to finally be added to the live game. Blizzard considers the delay as some much needed extra development time for additional polish, balance, and to work on endgame related aspects for an expansion they consider to be the most intricate they've ever created. Will Shadowlands still release by the end of 2020? Only time will tell. Those are our top 5 news stories this week. Join us next week for more MMO, RPG, and MMORPG news.